Hey there, this is a 15-minute post-workout stretch, total body opening, lengthening. You definitely don't have to do it right after a workout. You can use it as like a 15-minute movement break throughout your day. You could use it as some active recovery. We are going to be working with a timer, so we're going to work for 55 seconds and then 5 seconds to move into the next stretch. We're going to go ahead and get started kneeling on our mat. So in hero's pose, if you're a yogi, so on your knees, hips resting on your heels, you can kind of move the flesh from your calves out, or if you have a block that you want to sit on, you can sit on a block. This is a nice quadricep stretch. And we're just going to add in some gentle twists. So on an inhale breath, bring your fingertips up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, you're going to bring your right hand to the outside of your left knee and your left fingertips to the mat behind you. Inhale, move from your core, come back up to center, and then exhale, switch it out. Left hand to the outside of the right knee, right fingertips to the mat behind you. Let's do that one more time in each direction. And then exhale, twist. Inhale, back up through center. And exhale, twist. So snuggle those shoulders down and back into their sockets. And now we're going to come up into a tabletop. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and cat-cow. Inhale, breathe in to cow, and exhale to cat. Tuck around and curl, draw your belly button towards your spine, spread your shoulder blades away from one another. And then inhale, cow, shoulder blades snuggle in, heart presses forward, gaze, and the hips lift. And let's just flow here. Exhale, cat, press the mat away from you as you tuck around and curl, draw your ears in line with your biceps. And then inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Just exaggerate it. Such a good stretch for the low back. You can wag your tail side to side in that cat. And then you can do the same in your cow. Just let it feel good. Release your low back. Okay, we're going to tuck our toes, lift our hips, come into a downward facing dog. So pedaling the feet out, bending one knee and then the other as you bring the opposite heel towards the mat. And then we're going to come forward into a plank just for a moment and step your right foot to the outside of the right hand. Bring the left knee down to the mat. And we're going to bring the right hand or the right elbow to the inside of the right foot. And then lead with that elbow and peel up into a twist. So world's greatest stretch if you're familiar with it. And we're just going to continue to flow here. Probably get in a total of 3 or 4. So you want to keep your shoulders squaring towards the mat when you come down. We don't want to dump down. We want to stay elevated and looking forward. All right, so now plant that right hand, step the right foot back, come back into a downward facing dog. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, but first let's take just a few pedals with our feet in that downward facing dog. Opening the upper back by dropping the shoulders into the armpits. And then step the left foot to the outside of the left hand, surrender the right knee down. And then just, again, opening and twisting. So think about your waist lengthening forward out of your hips as you twist. And then as I come down, I'm not hunching down, I'm opening my shoulders. So if your hand comes down to the mat, like your elbow can't come down, but your hand comes down and you can keep your shoulders open, that's perfect. Remember, we're stretching to open, not to hunch down. All right, this time we're going to step our right foot up to the outside of the right hand. You're going to bring your elbows to the insides of your knees, and you're just going to kind of rock from side to side. So this is a frog squat. It's called malasana in yoga. So I want you again to think about your shoulders looping down into their sockets. and your chest lifting towards your thumbs. And just finding some good gentle movement here, swaying from side to side. Oh, this feels so good. Knit your front ribs in towards one another and down towards your belly button, and draw your belly button back in and up. Don't worry, we're not going to be here for too much longer. If it doesn't feel great, you can always bring your hands down to the mat and just kind of sway side to side. And then we're going to come into a ragdoll. So lift your hips up and back. You want your feet about 2 fist widths distance apart. And we're just going to hang here. Ragdoll. Imagine a ragdoll made out of rags, right? No bones. It just kind of sways side to side. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. Maybe nod your head, yes. Nod your head, no. Imagine that from your waist down, you're in cement and you can't move. So all of the movement is from the waist up. And if it feels good, you can drag your fingertips on the mat. And just let any tension roll off of your shoulders here. Remembering to breathe, slow and steady inhales and slow and steady exhales. All right, we're going to come up to stand slowly. And we're going to cross our right foot in front of our left. And we're going to take our right forearm with our left hand, and we're going to stretch up and over towards the left. So opening the right side body, and then come back up through center. Find a slight bend in your knees, hinge at your hips, and forward fold. And you can feel a really nice deep opening in the outside of your left hip in your IT band. And then slowly come back up to standing. And we're going to stretch it back up and over to the left. So think about your chest spiraling up towards the ceiling, and then using that left hand to pull your right hand over as you bump that right hip even more towards the right. This is such a good side body stretch if you've done a bunch of core work or oblique work. Okay, now we're going to stretch it out. Switch it out. Left foot in front of the right. We're going to grab the left forearm with the right hand, bump the left hip to the left, and then reach the left fingertips over towards the right. Draw your thumbs back so that we're not hunching forward. We want to stay nice and open and long, and then come back up to center, hinge at the hip creases, fold in half, and then we're going to feel that nice IT band outer hip opener on the right side here. So you can bend into your knees as much as you need. Tuck your chin towards your chest. And then slowly roll back up, and we're going to find that side bend one more time. So bump the hips over to the left. Left fingertips reach over towards the right. Chest lifts up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to uncross the feet, and we're going to come down onto our belly. So step back into a plank, and then shift onto your toes and slowly lower down onto your belly. Untuck your toes and walk your fingertips out in line with your shoulders. Create little spider fingers. Fingertips press into the mat. And then on an inhale, you're going to lift your chest, and you're going to drop your shoulder blades down into their sockets. And you can stay here opening the front of your chest, or you can dip your right shoulder down to the mat, press into the fingers, come back up through center, and then dip your left shoulder down to the mat. And we'll just do a little flow here. If it feels better to walk the fingertips in a little bit closer, you can walk the fingertips in a little bit closer. All right, now we're going to press back into a child's pose. So knees wide, big toes to touch. Walk your fingertips out, and if you want a little deeper opening for the backs of your arms for your triceps, you're going to bring your palms together to touch. You're going to bend your elbows, and then you're just going to walk your elbows out away from your shoulders as you continue to sit your hips back onto your heels. And just breathing some space into the backs of the arms, into the triceps. And breathing some space into your hips that might be tight here. I don't know if you can hear that noise. That's my dog, Charlie. She's very grunty. She kind of sounds a little bit like a pig. So this should feel really nice in the backs of your arms and the backs of your shoulders if you have these prayer hands. All right, we're going to come up and we're going to come up into a reverse tabletop. So palms underneath the shoulders, lift the hips. And then we're going to cross the right ankle at the left knee, and we're going to sit back down. And we want to make sure that the backs of both hips are nice and flat on the mat. And you can kind of move side to side here if that feels good to you. Remember, snuggle those shoulders down and back into their sockets. Or if finding just some stillness feels better, you want to think about pressing that outer right knee towards that front right corner of the mat and just feeling a really nice deep opening in that outer right hip. And think about that imaginary string lifting your chest up towards the ceiling so we're not dumping down into our waist. All right, we're going to come into a seated twist. So you're going to extend your left leg long. Bring the sole of the right foot onto the mat, or if you have the flexibility, you can bend your left knee as well, but you want to make sure that both sits bones stay on the mat, and you're going to wrap your left elbow around your right knee, and you're just going to come up into this gentle twist here. And then your gaze can be out towards the right or back over that right shoulder if that feels good. And then again, think about lengthening the waist up and out of the hips. So twists are really good to relieve pressure on our low back. They're also really good for stimulating digestion. All right, now we're going to come into that reverse tabletop again. And then this time, we're going to cross the left ankle at the front of the right knee and then bring the hips back to the mat. So again, you want to make sure that the backs of both hips, your bum is flat on the mat. And if it doesn't feel good to have your fingertips facing towards your hips, you can have your fingertips facing away. That might give you a little bit more space to snuggle your shoulders down and back into their sockets. If you want to make this stretch deeper, you're going to walk your heel in towards your hip and your hip in towards your heel just a little bit more. So think about the front, your collarbones spreading nice and wide as your shoulder blades hug in towards one another and down into their sockets. All right, now we're going to come into that twist. So extend your right leg long and bring the sole of the left foot to the mat on the outside of the right leg. Or if you're super flexible, you can bend the right leg. And we're going to bring the right elbow to sort of hook the left knee, lengthen up and out of your waist, and then bring that left palm to the base of your spine, and you can gaze out towards the left or back over that left shoulder, whatever feels good to you. And remember, we want to be lifting up and away from the mat, not hunching down. And maybe even lift the two corners of your mouth into a smile. Hopefully you don't have four corners of your mouth. All right, and now we're going to extend both legs long, and with knees bent or legs straight, we're going to slowly roll down onto your back. You're going to hug your right knee into your chest. Hi, Charlie. And you're going to extend the left leg nice and long. No, you need to go lay down. And you can stay here with the knee hugged in. You can bring the knee out and around the armpit. It feels so good here. We just did a twist, so if you don't want to do a twist, you're just going to stay here, feeling some sensation as the hip flexor. It's not time for doggy kisses right now. On the right leg begins to release, or if you want to come into a gentle twist, you're going to roll onto your left side and bring that right knee over to the left. I know, Charlie, I know. Can you move? Go lay down. All right, and then we're going to come back to center, neutralize your spine, bring the soles of your feet to the mat, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to bring your palms to the front of the left shin, and you're going to hug the knee into your chest, probably feeling some sensation in the front of this left hip. Flex the right toes back toward your knee, flex the left toes back to your knee, and then you can even guide this left knee out and around the rib cage and in towards your underarm. And then as you take those nice deep inhales, imagine guiding that breath into the front of that left hip. And then if you took the twist on the other side, just roll onto your right side, let that left knee come over towards the right, opening up that left shoulder. Again, this feels really, really nice on your low back. And then just carefully come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. You can do a little rock from side to side here. And then just rock yourself up into a cross-legged seat. And give yourself a pat on the back for taking these 15 minutes to move in a way that allows your body to continue working out and to continue doing all of the things that it does for you. I hope you enjoyed this class. I will see you back here soon. Bye.